If you watch because you're bored, you're addicted. If you do it because you're lonely, you're addicted. If you find yourself watching things you would find disgusting a couple years ago, you're addicted. So, let's get rid of that addiction. Quick note. Anytime you hear a quack, that's just me saying the word for an adult film, you know? How do we know if we're addicted or not? Now, I listed a couple things at the start, but just to really go over them, if you use because you're stressed, bored, lonely, if you struggle with social anxiety, low self-esteem, concentration problems, if you have a lack of motivation or depression, these all can be symptoms of addiction. One thing to note is that most guys who've used from a young age don't correlate their problems with use. So in my advice, to see if you're addicted or not, try to abstain from for a week or two, and depending if you relapse or not and how you feel, you'll know if you're addicted. Now let's talk about effects on your relationship and life. It can reduce your satisfaction with real life partners. It can make it harder to fall in love. And if you use it, you'll become less satisfied with your partner's appearance. Real people won't feel the same as the images you see online. And can also make you develop sexual dysfunctions, which can really affect your relationships with people. Another thing that do is change your sexual taste. Our brains don't stay the same. They change with experiences. So if you find yourself watching things you would probably never a couple years ago, that's a definite indication that your tastes are changing. This is because of tolerance, which we'll discuss later, but let's just have a little summary. When you watch the same genre over and over again, you become desensitized. For substance addicts, like people who use meth or heroin, they need more of that substance to get the same high feeling. But in this case, it's a different genre for and once you go through genre after genre after genre, eventually what you like will become very disturbing because you become desensitized to all of the genres. Now, let's talk about dopamine's role in addiction. As humans, we have a natural reward system, which propels us to survive and pass on our genes. These natural rewards are food, sex, and friendship. These rewards produce highly addictive chemicals called dopamine. Dopamine will make you experience cravings and pleasure, and pursue the natural rewards I just listed. So if something doesn't produce dopamine, you'll probably just ignore it. Keep in mind that sexual stimulation gives off the highest amount of natural dopamine you can produce. But dopamine also increases with other emotions. Emotions such as shock, surprise, shame, and anxiety. One thing to think about is that dopamine is what motivates you to find pleasure. It's not the actual feeling. The real feeling of pleasure is due to another chemical, a chemical called endogenous opioids. To put it in perspective, think of it like this. When you're running and you're thirsty, dopamine is what causes you to want water. But once you drink it, you experience pleasure, which is the opioids. But dopamine will always be stronger than these opioids. So as a psychologist named Susan, I can't say her last name, we seek more than we are satisfied. And once you overstimulate yourself so much, the outcome is addiction. This addiction will make you want more, but like it less over time. Now let's talk about why is so addictive. Sites like have so much variety, new people and new genres, and new videos and new scenarios every 10 minutes. All these genres and people boost all the chemicals that makes so addictive. We'll touch on that in a bit. But first, let's talk about other drugs to give a little bit of perspective on addiction. Heroin and meth are said to feel so addictive because they hijack sex in our natural reward system. And as I said, your natural rewards motivate you to keep living and pass on your genes. But the role in all of this is like heroin and meth, it takes over sex in your natural reward system. And every time you watch it, you are subconsciously thinking that you are actually like having sex with that person so you can pass on your genes. Your brain doesn't know what is. It just knows that it's being aroused. So now that we know your brain thinks that is sex, let's talk about something called binging. Now, no, I'm not talking about binging 30 shows on Netflix. That's a different topic. I'm talking about a mechanism that is just in our monkey brain. When you haven't eaten in a while, and you just see a buttload of food, even when you're full, your brain will override that feeling of being full so you can eat more because you don't know when the next time you're going to eat is. And it's the same thing with sex, or in our case. And so on these sites with so much variety, your brain is thinking, hey, look at all these women we need to be with so we can further our species. So there's no breaks when it comes to because it's just constant. Your brain is thinking this is a rare opportunity and we need to seize it right now. So that's why some guys after a session, they just want to do it again and again and again. And this is because the binge mechanism. Now there are 3 things that lead and will make you stay addicted. The first one is sensitization. Now this is where you experience the highest amount of dopamine, all right? And this will just make you want to watch. The second main thing is desensitization. Now, we've covered this a couple minutes ago about your taste changing and whatnot. And this is all due to tolerance. So as I said, you need to have more to get the same effect as you once did. Desensitization will make us more bored, less satisfied, and wanting to watch anything that will boost our dopamine. Now, just something to keep in mind is that the chemical called CREB, that's the chemical that makes us desensitized to things. And it makes other pleasures, like socializing or playing a video game, less pleasurable. Now, the third thing that keeps us addicted is less function in the prefrontal cortex. Now, the prefrontal cortex is in charge of a lot of things, but the main ones we want to look at are how it controls willpower and not doing behaviors that we might regret later. Now, the prefrontal cortex sends 2 signals. One is to just go do something, just go for it. And the second is let's stop and just think about it. Now, when you watch for a long period of time, that second signal to just stop and think about it, it weakens. It weakens and weakens and weakens. So what does that mean? That means you have less willpower to quit. So to summarize the 3 main things I said, basically, you experience the highest amount of dopamine and craving before you watch. But then when you watch it, you actually like it less, which for some reason in your brain wants you to watch more to get that same feeling. But since your willpower is weakened, it's just harder to get off. How to beat your addiction. First off, you're not going to want to use for several months. Now the main goal is just to really never watch again. But we have to be realistic, and we need realistic goals. Now the first couple of weeks or months will no doubt be your hardest, but you need to set some goals. Now if you do it every day, you're just gooned out, it's all you think about, try just go 2 days. 2 days without just gooning, all right? If you do it every day. And if you get those 2 days, you should feel proud. Try to go farther. And if you relapse, if you're trying to go for 3 days and you relapse only after 2, tell yourself it's okay. And you'll go farther than last time. It's really all about the daily wins, because eventually those daily wins will turn into weeks, those weeks into months, and those months into years. So, no or substitutes. That includes any gooner games, cam girls, sexting, reading those, erotic books, thinking in your mind about scenarios, looking at models on Instagram, really anything that's not real life, cut it out. It's gone. And if you're a gooner because you're bored and have so much free time, you need to pick up a hobby. It'll really help with you quitting. But in my opinion, the best hobby you could pick out is exercising. Exercising is all around good for you. It will reduce urges, improve self-confidence, and improve just your overall health. Now, when quitting, it's really good just to have a bunch of things that you do. And one thing you should be doing is socializing. Socializing is one of those natural rewards that make you experience happiness. So go out and talk to people. Random people. People you know. Start out by going on walks on the park, if you have a park, and just saying hello to anyone that walks by. Honestly, it's easier just like with older people, it's more comfortable. But socializing will not only improve your confidence, it'll lower stress. And if you're gooned out because you're lonely, exercise, quitting, and socializing will just help you get on your self-improvement journey. And this self-improvement, I'm telling you, you'll be the best version you'll ever be. Now, 2 other tips when quitting are rearranging your room and the X method. Not like your ex, but like the X method. I'll talk about it later, but let's first talk about rearranging your room. A change in environment, or in this case, our room, will make your brain think of your room as less of a place to be gooned out and more of a place to just sleep, which we want our room to be. Now, the X method is something I got out of a book. Anytime you think or fantasize about a goonish scenario in your mind, make a mental image of it and then put an X with like a buzzer sound. I'll put an example right now. Now, let's talk about some challenges and effects when you quit. During your first week or 2, you're craving to just watch crazy. You'll have highs and you'll have lows. But the main thing is you just gotta push through it. You gotta build that willpower. Redevelop your prefrontal cortex. Well, you're not really redeveloping it, but you kinda get my point. Common symptoms when quitting are insomnia, anxiety, mood swings, depression, and brain fog. But a major symptom that a lot of guys have is called a flatline. Now, this is basically when you have no libido or erections. And the time that this flatline occurs can be different. It ranges from person to person, and it just depends how addicted you really are. But don't worry, once you get those flatlines, it's only a matter of time before your libido and erections start to come back. So just keep going and persevere. Another thing that will happen when you're quitting is your dreams. Now, your dreams will be crazy. They'll be vivid and surreal, which can be good or bad for you depending. Like for me, I would have some amazing dreams. But sometimes I would have dreams of people and memories I'd prefer not to think about. As I said with the common symptoms, insomnia can be a major one. Now, if you had to use to sleep, your first couple weeks, it's gonna be hard to sleep. I'm gonna be real. One tip I would give is just to exercise. Exercise a bunch throughout the day, so once you get to your room, you're just tired. You don't even have the time to think about gooning, and you just hit the sack and just sleep. How to know when you beat your addiction. Now, like the flatline, this really just ranges person to person. It can take a couple months or a couple years. But don't let that make you think that quitting is not worth it. Now, some common indications that you beat your porn addiction are you feel like flirting with real girls, right? You want to just go up to them, ask them out. You just want to flirt with them in real life, right? Your libido changes, and you just stop thinking about all the time. These are some of the things you start to realize once you beat your porn addiction. All right. To end off this video, I want to give a huge shout out to this book I read, right? Your Brain on Porn by Gary Wilson. Now you can see I did a bunch of annotating, studying. See if I can show you guys. I just been underlining things. If you could, can you see that? I don't know. You can see all of my sticky notes that I made. And I was just really planning for this video, thinking about things I wanted to say. So just topics. If you guys want to learn more, please check out this book. And just some ending comments I would have. Doing your own research will make quitting way easier. So please, just do your own research. And quitting can be the first step on everyone's self-improvement journey. So please, if you're a young man, you guys gotta hop on the self-improvement train. I'm telling you, it's the new meta. But make sure to check out my Instagram and TikTok, OM Focus. I'll just be posting short clips of whatever videos I make. But just remember, porn is gonna ruin your life.